Frank, what's your message to the new government? Do you think they get the kind of rural economy at all?
No, I don't think any of them have set foot outside Kentish Town for the last 35 years. No, they're a hopeless bunch.
So would you invite Keir to your pub, Keir Starmer, Prime Minister?
No, he's banned. He's actually the first person to be banned. He's actually on a board in the hall. He's banned.
Why? What have you got against him?
Hello? I thought you were running a news operation.
It finally happened. Starmer's cool image just exploded, and the man who lit the fuse was Jeremy Clarkson. The legendary motormouth, famous for blowing up engines and
Well, I think the most important thing that I can do is to engage in dialogue and be absolutely clear. For a typical case, parents wanting to pass on to their child a farm. So that's a typical case. The threshold is £3 million, and that means the vast majority, before anyone pays inheritance tax, that means the vast majority of farms will be totally unaffected by this. And it's important, I think, that I do keep restating that, because that's a very high threshold.
The man with all the magnetism of a damp paper towel is somehow back in the news. Not for leading, not for inspiring, but for getting absolutely steamrolled by Jeremy Clarkson. Yes, that Clarkson, the one who once lost his job over a cold steak. When the guy...
It finally happened. Keir Starmer's carefully polished image, the calm, composed, ever-measured Prime Minister, just went up in flames. And the man holding the match, none other than Jeremy Clarkson. Yes, that Clarkson, the blunt, unfiltered motormouth who once turned car reviews into blood sport and political interviews into demolition derbies. One question, one sentence, and Starmer's PR machine couldn't spin fast enough. Clarkson didn't just call him out, he nuked him live, and now the fallout spreading faster than Starmer's approval ratings. So what did Clarkson actually say that set off this political firestorm? It started innocently enough, a chat about the rural economy, farming, the kind of salt of the earth Britain most politicians pretend to understand. Clarkson was asked if Starmer or his team get the rural economy. No, I don't think any of them have set foot outside Kentish Town for the last 35 years. His reply. Then he laughed, not the polite kind, but the type that says, these people couldn't find a farm if you dropped them in the middle of one. Brutal. But then came the knockout blow. When asked if he'd invite Starmer to his pub, Clarkson shot back, no. He's actually the first person to be banned. He's banned. You could almost hear the Labour press office spontaneously combusting. And while Starmer's team scrambled for damage control, Clarkson doubled down. He's on the board in the halls, Clarkson said, grinning. The man didn't just refuse a pint with the PM, he hung the no entry sign around Starmer's neck for all of Britain to see. Think about it, when a pub bans you before you've even walked in, you've officially lost the people's touch. He's banned. The optics, disastrous. Even worse, the timing. Because while Starmer was busy rehearsing sound bites about dialogue and engagement, Clarkson just reminded the public that nobody actually feels like he's listening. And then came the real-world reaction. Farmers, the backbone of the British countryside, are furious. The government says it's pouring £5 billion into farming and food sustainability. Clarkson didn't just criticize Starmer's policies, support, he exposed a deeper truth. This isn't about numbers or tax brackets. It's about a government that's forgotten what real Britain looks like. It's about leaders who talk about sustainability from their city offices while farmers fight to survive. It's about the growing gap between Westminster's promises and the countryside's reality. Clarkson said what millions were thinking, that the people in charge don't get it, don't care, and don't even know how to fake it convincingly anymore. And here's where things get even more explosive. The backlash didn't end in the fields. From Doncaster to Dover, thousands of ordinary Brits, not activists, not career protesters, took to the streets in what's now being called the Great British National Strike. The message was simple but thunderous. Enough is enough. Enough of the taxes, enough of the migration chaos, enough of the political elite treating Britain like their personal chessboard. The media tried to downplay it, but social media lit up with videos, chants, and banners. Britain is stirring, and it's not buying the Labour script anymore. Starmer wanted to be the farmers standing in the cold, but what happens when calm turns into cold, hollow, when composure turns into detachment, when your own people feel like you've ghosted them? Jeremy Clarkson's jab wasn't just about pubs or farms, it was about authenticity. And in that moment, the former Top Gear host became the accidental voice of a frustrated nation. When even your critics start to sound more real than you do, it's not just a PR problem, it's an identity crisis. So where does this leave Britain now? A Prime Minister banned from the pub, booed by the fields, and mocked by the man who once yelled at a Vauxhall Astra for being boring. Politics has rarely been this surreal, or this raw. But one thing's clear, the tide is turning. People are tired of speeches. They want grit, truth, and leadership that doesn't flinch when challenged. And if Jeremy Clarkson can articulate that better than the Prime Minister himself, then maybe the real revolution won't come from Parliament but from the pub. 09.